Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Links with Friends. Today is November 12th, 2025, and we're doing business and social stories for your hump day.
And we've seen some sort of like contradictory headlines about this, but I think we're all starting to see what the truth is. Here's another data point.
U.S. layoffs for October surged 2-decade high. Challenger data shows. Yeah, October's really bad. Also, the headline that federal employee spending was down, and it's like they're not. Yeah, federal employee spending's down because they haven't been paid in 5 weeks. That explains a lot.
You know what? I feel like Christmas is going to be grim this year.
Yeah, was that article the one that had the graph? It was like job openings versus no. There was another article I read on this that had job. You know the one I'm talking about? Is that
OpenAI?
Is it maybe? It had the S&P 500 is up, and then it's like job openings was like.
But the pivot point was labeled, OpenAI released.
Yeah.
Or ChatGPT released.
Yeah, and it even had the 2008. So like in 2008, it was like S&P 500 down and job openings down, and then it went back up, and then it had the pandemic and everything tracked perfectly until AI, and then it's like, oh, those lines are separating a lot now. That's alarming.
But don't worry, because onshoring is happening. It actually is. We're getting manufacturing in America. It's amazing. But there is a little bit of a star at the end of that when it comes to job creation.
Samsung building a facility with 50,000 Nvidia GPUs to automate chip manufacturing. Yeah, the lights out factories are incredible. Even the Chinese lights out factories are incredible. It's like, oh, there's all this human labor in China doing things. No, you are mistaken.
So that'll create some jobs, but fewer and fewer as time goes by.
It's like, how many people do we need to manufacture a car? And that number is going down rapidly.
But at some point, the algebra has to become, how many people do we need to have employed to buy this? I mean, right? How many chips can the ultra rich buy? And if you are poor and you still want to, maybe do some gaming or get on the internet or whatever, there was a program for you. However, it was not a good one.
NZXT hit with civil RICO suit in California over controversial PC rental biz. Class action lawsuit alleges the PC Flex program is a bait and switch scheme that included use in inferior hardware. And the California authorities are involved. And this is all thanks to Steve, Gamers Nexus. Thanks, Steve.
That's his bread and butter.
And there are certain parts that I'm sure that they substituted more than others because, my God.
DRAM prices skyrocket 171% year over year, outpacing the rate of gold price increases. AI demand drives massive price hikes as shortages take hold. Yeah, I was complaining about RAM prices last week. They're even more insane this week. Not only that, but like desktop memory is also catching up. 128 gigs of desktop memory is almost as much as server memory now. And that wasn't true just a couple of weeks ago.
And storage.
Oh, yeah. Well, storage is weird, though, because I've noticed that if you get shuckable hard drives, that you can still get 20 terabytes for around $200. But if you get just like the bare drive, they're like $400.
And chips, the transistor density has become a limiting factor, and we're always trying to think of new ways to get around that. This one is pretty novel.
The world's tallest chip defies the limits of computing. Goodbye to Moore's Law. So a scientific team has managed to stack 41 layers of semiconductors, multiplying the density of circuits by 6. This is a little bit of a nothing burger, like for people that actually work in this thing, but we can. It's like chip on chip on chip on chip.
And we did get a little bit of a tech sell-off today or yesterday or whatever. People, I think, are starting to question whether or not this whole AI thing is going to, pan out.
Be a bubble.
in terms of revenue, like returns, And some of the big banks realize that they have loaned so much money, and it's all wrapped up in that. What do?
Deutsche Bank's AI hedge, navigating the data center debt surge. This is a pretty good article that talks about the bank is trying to figure out what other things to invest in. Nvidia is trying to invest in other industries that have not historically embraced the bleeding edge technology as their kind of hedge. It's like, okay, we're going to help the biosciences, or we're going to help, data gathering for labs and like how AI can apply there. So when the bubble pops everywhere else. But yeah, Deutsche Bank's looking at this and they're like, we're going to go, like OpenAI is going to spend $1 trillion. How are they going to make $1 trillion in the time it takes these GPUs to go obsolete, which is what, like 3 years? how are we going to get $1 trillion payback in 3 years when usually like these infrastructure loans are designed to last 10 years, at least 5 years, certainly 10. Some of them are upwards of 20. Like if you're doing like a port authority build out, I was like, we're going to have all these cranes and stuff. The financial model there is a 20-year payback. You're not getting a 20-year payback on that GB300 supercluster. It's going to be like, you got to make your money back in like 3 to 5 years max.
And, society learned the lesson from Facebook and social media that you are the product, right?
I don't know if society learned that.
Anybody that's paying attention, maybe learned that.
Just not enough people.
In that case, it was free, but now we have entered into a new dystopia where the products are not free, and in fact, sometimes have subscriptions, but you are still the product.
Manufacturer issues remote kill command to disable smart vacuum after engineer blocks it from collecting data. User revives it with custom hardware and Python scripts to run it offline. This is really damning too. So the guy bought a smart vacuum. It doesn't have a subscription. I guess there's some freemium options, and it stopped working mysteriously. And so he took the time to troubleshoot why it stopped working, and it was because the manufacturer sent it a command to stop working because it wasn't getting data from it.
He did. You skipped a step there. He purposely blocked that data. He figured out it had separate servers for data collection and command and control. Because the other thing about this is that vacuum didn't have the onboard processing power to actually do the spatial calculations. It was sending that back home too. He was okay with that. He just didn't want the data collection that was going through some kind of Android thing they had on there. So we turned that off. And the vacuum was just like, oh, nope. And he also figured out that was not automated. Somebody made the decision. And he would send it into the shop. They would reflash the firmware, which would undo that. And they'd be like, you're crazy. There's nothing wrong with it. And he used up all of his returns.
Just doing that cycle,
yeah. No, we're not taking it back. So he figured it out. I mean, I
bet they wish they'd taken it back.
Now we all know. Now all of China knows you're here.
But again, are people really paying attention to
this? This is the same exact story, but with a bus instead of a vacuum.
Yeah, pretty much. But higher stakes.
Yeah.
Because you don't get the opportunity to take the bus apart. This is not your bus.
Danish authorities in a rush to close security loophole in Chinese electric buses. This is a follow-up to the thing that we reported on. Now, the Chinese companies responded and they said, hey, yeah, we have remote access, but it's just for maintenance, which is not in itself unreasonable, except that they could elect to send a similar kind of kill command. There is nothing stopping them from doing that.
Yeah, and also, there is a very non-zero chance that China goes to war with Taiwan, which means that Europe will probably be involved somehow. So what happens then?
The buses
nobody can. There's a war in the Pacific, so you can't take your bus to work.
I guarantee you T-Mobile's not going to work either.
And Cloudflare has been looking at things getting blocked and, observing the traffic. And so if you have a small country and you don't have a lot of IP addresses, you got to do some things to get around that. And it tends to be that those small countries do a lot of the bad stuff. So it seems like the ISPs are just taking a heavy hand here.
ISPs more likely to throttle netizens who connect through carrier-grade NAT, according to Cloudflare. They've noticed throttling and packet shaping shenanigans more often on a carrier-grade NAT connection than not.
Africa and Myanmar, big victims of that. They don't have a lot of IP addresses. And is this the year? No, it's not. But maybe we're getting closer.
Linux games on Steam finally cross over the 3% mark.
That's something.
I'm having a blast. Helldivers on Linux is objectively a better experience than Windows.
What's amazing though is they broke it down, and of course SteamOS. But Arch being number 2.
Well, it's because SteamOS is related to Arch.
But why would they count one as one and one as the other?
Well, SteamOS is actually like SteamOS on the Steam Deck, and then Arch is close enough to Steam that all the good stuff that Valve does for SteamOS can come immediately over to Arch, and then from there. So,
well, is it finally over? Maybe it is. I don't know. I mean, at this point,
no.
This
is going into 2026.
You think so?
Epic and Google agree to settle their lawsuit and change Android's fate globally. So Epic is going to accept a lower commission Google is going to let them in, but is Google going to charge them less money?
Oh, how much less commission? We don't know because it is the most convoluted calculation that you can imagine. They threw out like 8 different numbers, and it's dependent on all these different things. So it's going to be a
the
nightmare.
cycle of the moon. Yeah.
I'm sure that was done deliberately.
Yeah. Make it as difficult as possible. And censorship is alive and well, and of course it is the copyright holders who are championing it and winning.
Google removed 749 million ANA's archive URLs from its search results. This was a website that carried electronic format books, magazines, archival material, and just all kinds of stuff. But a lot of that stuff's not out of copyright, so...
Now, amazingly, those URLs are banned directly to the books, but the website itself you can still go to and you can still search. So, just to add steps, I guess. I guess they just hated that the search engines were returning those. And the Chinese junk stores, they can't sell to us anymore because they lost the de minimis. It doesn't make any sense. So they put their sites on Europe, but now they're also having trouble there.
So France moves to suspend Shein over weapons and adult stuff on the day that they opened a physical store in Paris.
I can't imagine the smell when you go into that store. Like that sort of plasticky, you know.
It smells like communism. And there's been a week of bad news for Rockstar, for sure.
Fired employees for leaking information, says Grand Theft Auto Studio. They're also announced that it's not going to be May 26th. It's going to be November now.
We have a story for that, don't we? Is that the next one?
I don't know if I sorted them correctly.
It was in the thumbnail. That's fine.
So it's a little bit more than that, maybe. There's definitely 2 versions of the story. Rockstar is saying that, or was it Take-Two? I don't remember who actually did the... Anyway, they said they were revealing company information in a group chat with people from outside the company. The people who were fired shot back and said, yeah, those were union representatives. We're unionizing. So, who do you believe? And, man, I'm old enough. I remember when Steam came about. There was a time before Steam.
I think you're a veteran, according to your profile, I think.
Yeah, because I got it like almost as soon as it came out. And in those days, we were against it because it's DRM. It's DRM. We should be angry at it. I mean, it's the best DRM we've ever gotten.
Yeah.
And it was so much better than what we even had in those days that people didn't complain too much. But I think this is true.
72% of game developers say Steam is effectively a PC gaming monopoly.
There's GOG, but like, you don't have, like, I don't know a ton of people who use GOG.
GOG is nice.
Yeah.
All the other stores like Uplay is infuriating. Epic Games is infuriating.
Mm-hmm.
And
all the launchers.
It is not a good launcher experience. It is very apparent that you have an adversarial relationship with the launcher, whereas Steam is at least nicer to you.
Game Pass, like Microsoft is trying to do that. And so they took the Game Pass launcher and they did the thing where it looks at all your games and imports everything. And it's like, oh, you can just launch all your games from here. It's like, no, Microsoft. You'll never be that. No, I'm sorry.
You can keep trying.
I'm never going to trust Microsoft just because the start menu is so worthless.
That was so many reasons to never trust Microsoft. And Gaben so far has not given us that many reasons not to trust him.
In fact, he's even gone to bat against like Visa and MasterCard, which is incredible.
I feel like the day he passes on, or like if he ever sells that company, it's just immediately.
Does he have kids?
I think so. I don't know why I think that.
I wonder if they'll try to take the reins.
On the one hand, it's like I'm not a big believer in dynasties because it's like, oh, this should be the egalitarian thing. But on the other hand, it's like I really hope he's grooming his kids to be mini Gabens.
They'll never be like him. Their lives have been too easy. And a company that kind of, I thought, had a decent reputation in that regard too, was this one, but they made a decision that made everybody upset. Everyone disliked this, and they made it very clear.
Nothing offers a fix to its latest bloatware problem, and everyone should learn from it. Nothing being the phone makers, the Nothing phone. It's like you can gain back your productivity.
They're still going to put them on there, but then now they're going to let you uninstall them.
Well, that's
Wow.
better than most carriers.
Yeah, Samsung does not do that.
Oh, you can uninstall their games up to a point.
Some stuff you cannot uninstall though. And I think they were going to prevent you from uninstalling Facebook.
Yeah.
Oh.
Facebook is willing to give them money for that, like a lot of money.
And it's hurricane season. Did you guys see the typhoon that's bearing down on the Philippines right now?
No.
It's bigger than the country. Yeah. And we know about that because we have some amazing new prediction software. AI seems to be pretty good at this, and it is crushing the old models.
Google's new hurricane model was breathtakingly good this season. Well, it's a good thing because we fired all the people that would deal with it. We don't even get proper weather warnings anymore.
Now, this chart is hard to understand, and these abbreviations are terrible, but Google DeepMind is this brown one, and it's at the bottom, but in this case, you want to be at the bottom. So it's outperforming all of the other ones. And the official U.S. model did terribly this year.
Probably because there was lack of people to work on it.
Some of them, I don't know, they're not necessarily AI models, I guess, but like some of the different weather models will also have like their own biases. Like I think the Canadian model always assumes more cold air, which probably is a safe bet when you're forecasting in Canada. But when you try to use that data in the US, it's like, well, it might be warmer down there.
It's the Canadian model also way more likely to apologize when it's wrong.
Oh, sorry, I don't know what this is about.
It's a great Canadian accent. And it is a common thing these days in professional sports where they will go to the high school and they'll be like, listen, college is a waste of time. You're not going to get any kind of degree that's useful for anything else. This is your future. Just come be with us. We're going to take you right out of high school. And now that the world has transitioned into, AI being the new thing, guess what?
Palantir pilots a fellowship to challenge traditional college pathways. Yeah, straight out of high school, it's like, come work on the computers and do the thing. Is it a vocational computer education? Kinda.
Is it brainwashing? Maybe.
It's interesting, though, that they pointed out some of the things they did here were not technology related. They were actually, it seemed like they were trying to teach them like personality skills and life skills and stuff like that at these retreats, which maybe it's not the worst, right?
I really think that like a high school, like mandatory high school classes should include like balancing your bank account, like your transactions, like money in and out. No one knows what a checkbook is, Krista. That's silly.
My mom, when I first got my first paycheck when I was in high school, she sat me down and showed me how to balance it and make a budget.
So they had lessons on people like Abraham Lincoln, Winston Churchill, and they had to read the biography of Frederick Douglass, autobiography, and took improv communication classes. Are they pulling the...
Is this clown school?
Well, I mean, I'm thinking like, are they pulling the, mentally aberrant, like high specialization kids and just trying to like
hoping that
pound on that until it's good enough to meet a customer?
That seems like, the thing is that our personality type, you don't want us in front of customers for the most part.
That's what I'm thinking, right?
But like, why would you, like, not say that you couldn't learn it. Obviously, we've all learned some people skills, but like, it's not naturally what comes well.
But my thinking is they're not trying to train them to interface with the customer. They're trying to train them because like, you can be in the room and not embarrass us. Maybe at that level,
But they're still just high schoolers without any training. So it's like, what do you want them there for?
For their analytical skills and their abilities to do that kind of thing.
But if you're 18, fresh out of high school, what skills do you have?
Well, if you're no life in it in your room, learning all that stuff because you love it.
I guess we just don't know enough about the kids they're pulling, but
we need to investigate further. That's your job.
It does seem like a lot of the more successful folks in college were also the ones that were just, they were doing stuff in class, but then they were also doing stuff outside class.
Networking, right?
Yeah. Same stuff.
That's what makes me think that they're pulling the ones who have no aptitude for that. And GoFundMe, I would say as the belts tighten, everybody's spending less. This has got to be the worst things that drop, or one of the first things that drop. Right? Like you're not going to give away free money if you don't have any, and they're trying to figure out every way they can to get around that.
GoFundMe created 1.4 million donation pages for nonprofits. Some Bay Area organizations had no clue. I guess the idea here is people would give them money. It's like, oh, I want to give money to this thing. The GoFundMe page would pop up. GoFundMe gets a cut, and then GoFundMe cuts a check to the organization at the end.
Except the guy who exposed this was like, we had no idea. There was no check.
That's really weird.
But when he got in contact, I guess you get it. But then GoFundMe has already taken their percentage. Plus, GoFundMe is asking for tips when you check out. So you're donating to somebody else, and GoFundMe is like, why don't you give us a little tip?
We need $1 for your...
That's like when you go out and it's like, oh, do you want to tip the server? It's like, they didn't bring the food to the table. They didn't do anything.
This is takeout.
Yeah.
But they already take whatever, like 2 or 3%. That's their percent.
Yeah, but do you just want to give them a little more just because? Because you obviously have a lot of money, consumer.
Well, are you excited about your smart TV? Guess what? It's not going to be the same as when you bought it.
Fire TV, Amazon to block piracy apps in the future. They're going to audit what apps you have installed, and if you have a piracy app, quote unquote, that they determine, they're going to uninstall it. Why does Amazon need the right to look through your device? That doesn't seem reasonable.
We see you're using HBO to watch House of the Dragon. Would you like to watch Rings of Power instead?
Now, I think Fire TV is deprecated, right? They got something new.
You can still buy the physical Fire TVs where it's like the Hall TV.
Vega OS. So now they have Vega OS. And so in the while they were the reporters were looking into this, they asked them, like, oh, are you eventually going to upgrade those old Fire TVs to Vega OS? And they're like, no, we're never going to. Those are products that we've already sold. Why would we do anything with those? We need to buy a new one. And if you didn't know, you can use cryptocurrency to bet on almost anything at this point. And there are a lot of reasons that you shouldn't do that, because when you can bet on things that someone else has control of the outcome of, like politics, you could get screwed very easily.
Coinbase CEO Brian Armstrong trolls the prediction markets. So they had their shareholder call, and they got to the end of the shareholder call, and he's like, oh, just 1 second. There's a polymarket bet. And so he just loaded a bunch of words: Ethereum, blockchain, staking, Web3, blah, blah, blah. He said all the words at the end of the call because the bet was that those things would come up on the shareholder call. They didn't really come up on the shareholder call, but he did the thing with polymarket because he's a troll and he thought it'd be funny.
Now, he didn't do this, but he could have bet. He could have made a bet. Or he could have had one of his family members make a bet.
We've certainly seen that as evidenced by the Nancy Pelosi bot.
Yeah, well, this is just fewer steps. More direct. And unfortunately, we have more layoffs.
Square Enix announces mass layoffs as restructuring, quote-unquote, plan pulls development from, quote-unquote, overseas.
So it's all going to be the Japan office now. Back to the roots.
Oh, here's our
here it
GTA
is.
6.
Yeah, this one I missorted, but this is going to disappoint a lot of people.
GTA 6 release delayed till November of 2026. I just like the thumbnail on the other story because it had May of 2026. I was like, oh, no, we're going to have to go to November.
A whole year from now. Think of all the chaos that can unfold in that time.
Think about how much time that is for society to collapse.
I feel like there's part of me, like, I enjoyed multiplayer, but I also kind of feel like by the time that this releases, it's going to be so filled with crap, it's not going to be any good.
But think about this. That's the console release.
Yeah, oh yeah.
You won't get it for
The
at least
PC.
another year.
That's annoying.
It's going to be all ads and cosmetics and, like, the original Rockstar, like, the multiplayer released in a totally different environment.
Shark cards.
Yeah.
Let's get your shark cards. And moving on to social media, we have a new milestone for Bluesky.
Bluesky hits 40 million users, introduces dislikes as a beta.
Every social media should have dislikes. I don't understand why
Yeah.
they don't do that. And Mark Zuckerberg, he is living his best life for sure down there in Hawaii. He has basically conquered one of the islands and just uses it for himself. Unfortunately, there are other people who already were living there, and they don't like it.
Mark Zuckerberg opened an illegal school named after his pet chicken at his Palo Alto compound. His neighbors revolted.
This school's been going on for, like, years, I guess. But what I don't understand is, like, I think about some of my friends who it's like, oh, I open my home and I let a couple of the neighbor kids come over and, like, I watch them. And then, they'll get shut down because it's like, oh, that's a daycare center. But you can have 30 kids show up at your house here and it's fine.
But not only that, he had to have permits to build this thing. This is a big facility.
Yeah.
And a lot of the people brought up exactly what you're talking about. They're like, hey, you approved all of this. You knew what was going to go on here. And they're like, oh, no, we don't give Mark any special treatment just because he's a billionaire.
Zuckerberg's, because he does have a wife, somehow.
Somehow, he's a billionaire. And Meta's, all those gains that he's spending on his private island, some of them may be very ill-gotten.
Meta is earning a fortune in a deluge of fraudulent ads, documents show.
So there were some internal documents that were uncovered, and it turns out that Meta knew that a certain percentage, what was it, like 10%?
Yeah.
10% of the ads were, in fact, scams, but they didn't really rush to do anything about it.
Because that's 10% of their bottom line.
There was part of me, they were like talking about comparing it to Google, and they're like, yeah, it's a lot higher on Facebook. I wonder if Facebook gets targeted for scams because their user base is considerably
For sure.
older.
Yeah.
Not just older, but more gullible in general.
Yeah.
We've joked about that kind of thing without any real evidence other than just the stuff that we're able to observe on the internet. It's just like, this is obviously terrible. Why is this allowed?
And Australia now has their under 16 law where they have blocked social media. You can't even get on Facebook if you're under 16 in Australia. You can't see the scam ads.
Oh.
But they are adding more names to the list.
Reddit added to Australia's social media ban on under 16s.
And Kick as well. Soon, under 16s will not be able to look at any websites. And the White House, apparently somebody in the web department is still working because they managed to throw this up.
This kind of pissed me off, to be honest.
And, this is not what we need in politics, but referring to Hakeem Jeffries as Timu Obama is hilarious.
White House launches spoof MySpace page mocking Democratic leaders over shutdown.
Meanwhile, I'm sitting here thinking, I haven't been able to get to trail maps on any of the local government websites, but they have time to do this. Time and money and budget for this.
And it's hard to see. You can't.
I mean, yeah, it's like an
analyze this.
old MySpace
But
screenshot.
they really copied the source material pretty faithfully. There's some clever stuff in here.
But why? What a fucking waste.
That's just because, it's the information war. Some people love that.
I don't understand.
It's for the lulls. That's where our governance is.
That's yeah.
You know what else would be amazing for the lulz? Equality before the law. This is not. It's a really relatively
Make government boring again.
Just minor ask.
Anyway.
You know what would also be really great lulls? If you lulled your asses over to the Level 1 store.
Store.level1text.com.
Get some products.
Thanks to our patrons and our Floatplane subscribers for making this a reality.
We love and appreciate you.
It is amazing, especially now in our unprecedented, uncertain economic times. Some of you hanging in there. You don't have to, but it's appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you.
What's your secret?
Yeah, how are you hanging on?
Post your secrets below.
Are you breaking the machine from within? Thank you.
Bye.